Okay, Max, I understand that you have some concerns that you'd like to discuss today. So whenever you're ready, I'm happy for you to voice whatever it is that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, well, I suppose the bottom line is I'm having some difficulties in my relationship with my wife, and I'm very uncertain about actually being here, and it's a bit embarrassing talking about these things with a stranger.
Yeah, so you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable discussing such personal information with an outsider?
Yes, it is. I'm a bit awkward. I
Right.
was brought up to solve your problems yourself,
Yeah.
and you don't go outside the family, you don't take your problems to strangers. And I would normally do, but also I realise now that given the depth of the problem, that I also need to get another perspective on things.
Okay, all right. I guess what I generally say to people when they first come along is that it's not uncommon to feel quite uncomfortable talking to an outsider about such personal information, and even though I can't predict exactly how you're going to feel and how things will go for you today, I do know that in the past a lot of other people have actually felt quite uncomfortable to begin with, but as they've been able to talk and get things off their chest, they actually feel quite relieved. So you might find that as we spend more time together, that you're more comfortable in this environment too.
Well, I hope it works out that way.
Yeah, we'll see how we go.
Well, it was a friend of mine who'd been involved in counselling previously,
Right.
who suggested that this is what I should attempt to do anyway. See where we go.
Okay. And you were saying before as well that that normally you like to solve things yourself and work things out yourself, and I think it's quite a balanced perspective to be looking at how you're going to resolve things yourself, and also to get an outside perspective as well. So I can see lots of benefit that can come from that dual approach.
Well, I haven't succeeded in doing it by myself, so
Yeah.
it's worth a go.
Yeah, so perhaps we can shed some light on some helpful approaches for you. Yeah. Okay. I guess to help me understand your situation, it'd be helpful if you could talk a little bit about what's been going on for you and what's brought you along.
Well, I suppose things have just deteriorated in my relationship with my wife,
Right.
Angelina. We've been married 11 years now, and we've got two kiddies, John who's 9 and Jackie who's 7.
Right.
And she's very busy in her job, and she's always been I suppose a bit of a control freak.
Right.
She likes things to be just so. And occasionally she would, what I would call it, lose the plot, and she'd yell at me and abuse me, but in the past that was never a problem because we could sit down and talk about it, and she'd recognise that she'd probably gone over the top and whatever. But lately it's really just gotten out of hand, and she's not controlling her anger, her temper, and it really concerns me now because I think it's starting to affect the kids.
Right, okay. So it sounds like, to begin with, she might often become quite angry, but she would settle down and you could resolve things, but of late it's become a lot more volatile, and she's become more explosive, and you're really concerned about the impact on yourself and the children.
Yeah, I mean, the kids are young, and I mean, John, he's a boy and he seems to be handling things okay. But you're always uncertain as to really how things are affecting him. Jackie's only 7, as I said, and she's a lot more sensitive, and she's not really handling things too well at all.
Yeah.
And that's really starting to put a lot of extra concern to me.
Yeah, okay. So it sounds like you've got a lot of concerns about both the kids, and John's probably handling it okay outwardly, even though obviously he's feeling it. But Jackie, you're particularly concerned about because she's quite delicate, and you're worried about that impact.
Yeah.
And all of you are walking around on eggshells at the moment, just waiting for some kind of explosion to happen. Does that sound right?
Well, I'm concerned about the kids, but I'm concerned about the marriage. It's important to me to do what you can to keep things together, because that's better for the kids.
Yeah.
But if I had to single out one major concern, it would be probably for Jackie.
Okay.
Because there's been a few incidents lately where the kids have been exposed in the full glory of this sort of volatile, angry behaviour, and that's really starting to worry me a lot.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I guess I'm very impressed to see how much you're obviously devoted to the children, and you're certainly putting their welfare first, and you want to make sure that they're in a stable environment so that they're okay. And I think obviously that's a credit to you as a father that they've got you available.
Those kids just mean everything to me. Yeah. They're just a total delight. I mean, they're just everything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it's really clear when you talk about them, your face lights up. So they're obviously very special and very important. Yeah. Okay. All right. Just in terms of helping me to understand exactly what's going on between yourself and Angelina that's causing you such distress, would you be able to give me perhaps a recent example of a time where you did have some conflict and talk about what happened?
A couple of weeks ago, she'd been very busy, so just to make things easier for her, I went out of my way and on the way home from work and picked up a dry cleaning.
Right.
And I got home probably half an hour late than what I normally would, and she didn't ask me why I was late or whatever. She just went into a tirade of abuse.
Right.
And wouldn't listen to any comments or observations I had to make about it. And probably the worst part for me was that both the kiddies were there.
Yeah.
And you could see, particularly for young Jackie, the impact it was having on her. And it just really just broke my heart.
Okay. So that sounds like it was very upsetting for you to be involved in that,
Oh,
to
it was
witness.
extremely upsetting because nothing I said or did was going to ease the situation.
Yeah.
It just went on and on and on until she burned out of the anger.
Okay. Right. Yeah. And what actually happened after she did burn out? What happened with the kids in terms of helping to resolve things?
The kids were very restless that night. They were very clingy to me.
Yeah.
They were a bit shocked and surprised. These things have been going on for a while, but this was the first time the kids had actually been fully exposed to the, I suppose, the full spectrum of the abuse and the ranting and raving and just the volatile nature of it. Really quite hostile.
Okay, so that was a specifically bad incident. Yeah. And how often does this tend to happen?
It's episodic. It's always there underneath the surface. Sometimes it might be every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might be once a week, once a fortnight.
Yeah.
That's because there's no rhyme nor reason to things. That's actually adding to the difficulty, because I find it starting to affect my work.
Right.
And I think myself and the kids are starting to walk on eggshells a little bit.
Right. Okay.
And that's a very unhealthy environment for the children.
So it's affecting the children, but it's spilled over into your work environment as well, and you're feeling uncomfortable when you're at work. Is that right?
I find myself sometimes not focusing on my work and thinking about how can I fix things up at home so that Angelina's more settled, it's more peaceful, harmonious life that we used to have. The kids' lives are not so disrupted. They're not exposed to this intense and negative emotion.
Right. Okay. So it sounds like, Max, for you, it's a very constant and unrelenting distress. It's at home, it's at work, and you're feeling it.
It's starting to be non-stop in terms of my thinking.
Okay.
I think about it at work, I think about it at home.
Yeah.
Walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
When Angelina goes to sleep, I'll stay awake thinking in terms of what I might be able to do.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I just think I'd like some peace, and I'd like some peace for the kiddies. Particularly young Jackie, because I think she's really feeling it, and I wonder whether maybe I should just leave, so at least the kids can have some peace, because if I'm not there, maybe Angelina won't have a target.